They laughed behind my back, mocked my uniform like it made them better than me, dismissed me without a second thought, just another body serving them. But minutes later, the truth I'd been keeping to myself left every single one of them speechless. The champagne was flowing. The laughter was loud. But the second I set down that tray, everything stopped. The estate shimmered in the late afternoon sun. White linen tents, polished silverware, gardens that stretched forever. It looked like a magazine photo come to life. Waiters in starched uniforms floated through the crowd like ghosts. And me? I was just one of them. Or so they thought. I moved with quiet precision, balancing trays of golden hors d'oeuvres and crystal flutes filled to the brim. My uniform was crisp, white shirt, black vest, polished shoes that clicked just right when I walked. I blended in with the staff. At first, nobody noticed me. But they always noticed eventually. I'm tall, broad-shouldered, deep brown skin, steady gaze. And I move differently than they expect. Too smooth, too confident for what they think someone like me should be doing. The first remark came fast. Whispered, but loud enough. At least he knows how to carry a tray. Better than the last one. Then came the man in the navy suit. He chuckled. They're good with their hands, aren't they? Another voice piled on. Hey, buddy, make sure my drink's cold this time. Said it like he was tossing coins at a beggar. I nodded. Gave them the faintest professional smile. No anger. No tension in my shoulders. Just deep, practice patience. I've walked through rooms like this more times than they could imagine. When I set another tray near the champagne fountain, the laughter faltered, just for a beat. A few guests looked at me closely for the first time. Something in my posture, the way I stood, didn't match what they'd boxed me into. But they looked away. Went back to their caviar and their casual cruelty, comfortable in their false sense of superiority. I took a slow breath, letting the breeze lift the edges of my sleeves. I caught my reflection in a serving tray, dark eyes, a calm smile playing at the edge of my lips. I heard every word, every loaded laugh, every insult they thought I didn't catch. But I stayed steady, because I wasn't there just to serve them. I was playing a longer game. What they didn't see, what they couldn't see, was the truth. They saw a man carrying plates. What they didn't know, I was the one who wrote the first check that made that entire celebration possible. But I didn't need recognition. I didn't need applause. I was there to honor a promise. Every time someone looked past me, made some offhand joke, it sharpened my focus. Because the truth, like all the best stories, wasn't going to be shouted. It would land like thunder. Quiet, then deafening. I built my empire one brick at a time. One event at a time. Quietly. And there, under those glittering white tents, I could have easily been mistaken for just another caterer. Just another face in the background. I didn't mind. I wore my uniform with pride. Every piece of it, shirt, vest, slacks, polished shoes, meant something to me. My skin gleamed against the white. My steps were silent but full of purpose. There was something in the way I moved, like I owned the ground I walked on. Because I did. Of course, they didn't notice. Or maybe they chose not to. Wealth clung to them like perfume. Designer dresses, custom suits, champagne flutes held like trophies. Pearls glittering, laughter echoing. Loud, hollow, cold. As I passed with a tray, the game began again. You missed a spot, a woman giggled, pointing to nothing. A red-faced man leaned in to his friend. Hard work runs in the blood. Huh, he snorted. They laughed. I heard every word. The jokes about my skin. The assumptions about who I was. I wore it like armor. Let it slide right off me. I'd heard it all before. And I knew I'd hear it again. Later, I passed by a group near the buffet. One younger guy, looked like the bride's cousin, sneered, "Man speaks better than some of the guests." His date giggled nervously. Must be one of those polished types. If you've made it this far into the story, first of all, thank you. That means a lot. If you're enjoying it, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss any of the interesting story times we've got coming up. Trust me, they only get better from here. I gave them a small smile. Didn't flinch. Didn't correct them. Didn't remind them who I really was. I just set the tray down with the same care I gave every movement that day. That's when she came over. The event planner. Rushed up like her heels were on fire. "The floral arrangement you requested has arrived," she said, breathless. She looked at me like she hadn't looked at anyone else working that day. With urgency. With respect. I gave her a small nod. I'd been expecting her. It was a tiny moment. Barely a ripple in the sea of money and arrogance around me. But it was a clue. A clue that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't who they thought I was. Still, they kept laughing. Still clinking their glasses. Still making jokes at my expense. Still completely unaware that every careless word and condescending glance was being witnessed by the very man who had made their entire event possible. I moved through them like a shadow, silent, unnoticed, but always watching. And soon, the truth would move through them too. Not with rage, not with shouting, but with that quiet, devastating power only truth knows how to carry. The sun dipped lower, bathing the estate in warm amber light. The wedding flowed seamlessly from the ceremony into celebration, and the air thickened with music, laughter, and the constant clinking of crystal. Through it all, I moved quietly, but not invisibly. Every now and then, I stepped away from the crowd, my phone to my ear. My voice stayed calm, measured, all business. A few clipped sentences. A nod. A soft thank you. Not the frantic energy of a server checking on menu items. No, this was something else. Something much bigger. But no one really noticed. They were too busy posing for pictures under the massive floral arch, too wrapped up in bragging about their vacation homes and luxury renovations. And whenever I passed, balancing trays or calmly directing staff, the same tone followed me. Those dismissive smiles. Averted eyes. Half-hearted thanks. "Looks like the caterer's running the whole show," one guy muttered, nudging his wife with a smirk. I smiled. Polite. Professional. I didn't stop. I didn't explain. I didn't correct him. I had learned long ago that ignorance has a habit of crumbling all by itself. But the cracks were showing. Subtle ones. For those who actually looked. The florists, the audio techs, the delivery guys, none of them spoke to me like I was staff. No casual tone. No condescension. What I heard from them was respect. Earned. Real. The estate manager, clipboard in hand, approached me near the service entrance. He spoke in a low voice, almost deferential. He nodded deeply when I handed him a signed form and walked away without a word. And then there was the groom's father, the red-faced, loud-voiced type who normally dominated every room he walked into. Not today. Today, I noticed him watching me with something I hadn't seen on any other face out there. Unease. Twice, he circled past me, each time carefully avoiding eye contact. His jaw was tight. His movements more deliberate than necessary. He didn't look at me like a caterer. He looked at me like someone who knew exactly who I was and what that meant. But the rest of them? They didn't see it. Or maybe they didn't want to. I wore the uniform. I carried the tray. I looked like someone who should serve, not own. Why look deeper? They sipped their champagne, bragged about Santorini and Saint-Tropez, chuckled behind manicured hands, convinced they already knew the whole story. But some stories don't reveal the twist until the final page. And I was more than ready to turn it for them. I didn't need to raise my voice. I didn't need to pull the spotlight. I just needed time. Because the truth was already moving toward them, silent, steady, just like me. Then the music dipped. The sound of clinking glasses quieted. Eyes shifted toward the front lawn, where a small stage stood under a canopy of white roses and gold string lights. A microphone stood there, lonely, waiting. The groom's father approached it, straightening his tuxedo and clearing his throat. His hands trembled slightly, gripping the paper in his hands like it might blow away with the truth written on it. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, his voice cracking through the speakers, "if I could just have a moment." The crowd murmured. Glasses froze mid-air. Curiosity spread like smoke. "Today isn't just a celebration of love," he continued. "It's a celebration of legacy, of generosity, of quiet greatness." He paused, eyes sweeping the room. "There's someone here today who made all of this possible." Puzzled glances flickered around me. The bride's mother clutched her pearls tighter. One of the groomsmen whispered, "What is he talking about?" "He never asked for credit," the father said. "Didn't want the spotlight." Then he looked straight at me. Not beside me. Not near me. Right at me. I was standing off to the side near one of the tent poles, still in my uniform, holding a tray of champagne. For a heartbeat, everything froze. I could feel the weight of 100 eyes land on me all at once. Then, gasps. Whispers. Shock rolling through the crowd like thunder. "Wait, him? The caterer? No way." The father's voice thickened with something heavier than alcohol. "Years ago, my father, God rest his soul, believed in a young man's dream. Quietly. Without fanfare. Without any expectation." The hush that fell over the crowd was total. Still. Absolute. "That young man built something extraordinary," he continued. "And when we started planning this wedding, when we realized what it would truly cost." He faltered for just a second, then smiled softly. It was him who stepped forward, without being asked, without wanting anything in return, out of pure gratitude and respect for the man who once believed in him. The words sat in the air like stone. And just like that, everything shifted. Not just the energy in the room, but the very axis of their reality. I could feel it. The looks, the confusion, the disbelief. They couldn't reconcile what they were seeing, the man they thought they knew, with the truth unraveling in front of them. I wasn't the owner of the estate. I wasn't a faceless donor behind some anonymous check. I was the man they had laughed at, dismissed, talked down to, and I had built the very thing they were standing on. I stood still. The tray I had been holding was now lowered quietly at my side. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just gave a small nod, a simple, respectful acknowledgement of the truth they could no longer pretend not to see. I didn't come here for praise. I didn't need the spotlight. All I wanted was to show up, honor a promise, and pay my respects to a man who once believed in me. That was it. But now, the same room that had once buzzed with laughter and quiet mockery was dead silent. It wasn't music or a speech that had hushed them. It was shame. The kind that settles heavy on your chest when you realize you've been looking down on someone you never even took the time to understand. They stared at me, the man they had called just the caterer. The one they had dismissed with fake smiles and careless jokes. And now, they couldn't even meet my eyes. I didn't say a word. After the groom's father stepped down from the MIC, the whole reception felt frozen in place. Silverware clinked awkwardly against porcelain. A few guests pushed food around their plates, avoiding eye contact. Others tried to drink through their embarrassment, fingers shaking around champagne flutes. Some gave me quick, guilt-ridden glances and then turned away just as fast, like they couldn't bear the quiet truth standing right in front of them. But me? I just kept going. No speeches. No dramatic gestures. I nodded once to the groom's father, then stepped aside, back to work. Refilled glasses. Fixed a centerpiece someone had knocked crooked. Just moved through the space I had helped create, the way I always had. I didn't need applause. I didn't need to be the center of the room. What I needed, what I had always needed, was something they couldn't see. Peace, self-respect, and the freedom of knowing exactly who I am. A few of the guests, the bold ones who had been the loudest earlier, finally made their way over. Their smiles were stiff now, uncomfortable, like apologies caught in their throats. "I had no idea," one of them said, reaching out to shake my hand like that could undo everything he'd said earlier. "You should have told someone," another muttered, still stuck in that old mindset, that status had to be announced to matter. I gave them a soft smile. Polite, careful. The kind that doesn't quite reach your eyes when you know the other person's only just now realizing the weight of their own ignorance. "No need," I said. And I meant it. Because I never needed their validation. I never needed their permission to belong. My value wasn't tied to their recognition, and my success didn't depend on being seen. Real respect, real class, that shows up when you think no one important is watching. And as the sun slipped behind the tall oaks that bordered the estate, casting long shadows across the now hushed celebration, I moved through the crowd just like I always had. Quiet, calm, steady, a living reminder of something they should have known all along. You never know who you're looking at until it's too late to change how you treated them. They had seen a server. But the whole time, they'd been served by greatness itself. And just like that, the man they overlooked became the man they'll never forget. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that reveal the truth. And if you've ever witnessed or experienced a moment like this, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your story.